On Thursday, the 16th of October 2025, we're with Kemo Bojang, the official spokesperson of the Unite Movement for Change. What does leadership within UMC look like?
Leadership within the UMC is a breath of fresh air, I'll say. Majority of us are people that have already held leadership positions in different capacities, but we have come up with a system where we have said that we must be able to have checks and balances in place, because we see ourselves as a government in waiting, not just as an opposition party. And one of the pronouncements that we did, especially at the mobilization meeting we had in the Bojang Theatre, was that the party leader will be different from Secretary General, and the Secretary General will also be different from the flag bearer, where you will have checks and balances in place, and power cannot reside in the hand of one individual. So these are all issues that we're looking at. We've also see to bring in diversity, especially when it comes to leadership. Even also have unions, for example. For example, you have the Dockers Union, you have the Drivers Union. We believe that these individuals, these interest groups, need to have a voice in our leadership, because they used to be very vibrant in the country. When you talk about the Emi Jallos and the bread and butter strikes and other things, they really define politics in the Gambia. Unfortunately, with time, they've been morphed into becoming stooges for political parties and other things. We want that to change. We want them to have a voice. We want them to be listened to. For example, one of the policies that we're working on is to see that we have skilled workers in the country. A lot of them, unfortunately, because they don't have a formal or a structured system, once they get old, it's hard for them to live off because they don't have any savings. We're coming up with a credit union or sort of a pension scheme for skilled workers like carpenters, masons, where they can save their funding, and after their retirement they can have a lump sum given to them, and then monthly they would also have a token given to them just to keep and support them. We talk about Europe, we talk about America, we talk about them because of the advancement that they have witnessed. And Europe had the era of reconstruction, but the era after the Second World War, the era of reconstruction was pioneered by people with skill. A country cannot develop without people who are skilled and who are able to rebrand and remodel their country. What UMC wants to do when we come into government is to make sure that skilled workers are given an opportunity to lead change in the country. Because, for example, today we are able to talk to the people out there because of skilled workers. The mic I'm using, the computer you're using, were developed by electrical engineers or electricians. How do we empower these people that Gambia produces and Gambia competes in the global market? These are all things that we're looking at UMC, and a lot more things that we want to see change happen.
Would you say then that the Barrow administration, in as much as you aspire to replace it, are doing the right thing with the TVET strategy?
Absolutely. And Prof. Gomez has been one of the leading champion ministers. I keep saying that over and over again. And at UMC, we don't have oppositions, like I mentioned. I keep saying that. The NPP as an institution is not our opposition. The UDP is not our opposition. No political party is our opposition, or individual is our opposition. Our oppositions are corruption, unemployment, youth irregular migration, insecurity, food and social insecurity, and all the vices that we face in society. And if you are a Gambian that ascribes with these things that we have said, then probably you are our opposition. But if you're trying to fight for change, you are trying to bring in change, then we are in the same boat. So we don't have personality differences with anybody, or we don't have institutional differences with anybody. We have vice differences with the people. Yeah.
With the previous guest, we dealt with the issues pertaining to transparency and accountability. How is the UMC ensuring transparency and accountability within its ranks?
So one of the ways is that we have mentioned is we're going to have the structures built from bottom top. We want to see that the people are centered in the move and the change that we want to do. But secondly, for example, we are also going to have quarterly press conferences where we talk about the financing of the movement, where we talk about the administrative runs of the movement. And everything, we believe that it's a people's movement, so people should have a say. And in fact, a few days ago, you would see on Facebook where Taliban Soda was asking people to ask him questions. and that he would answer them, on his page. So these are always where we want to keep the relationship and the communication flow between the people and, the leaders of the movement. The movement is growing, and it is still morphing, and we believe that transparency and accountability are going to be the cornerstone. I think Mayor Bensouda has shown that accountability and transparency is something that he's a big champion of, considering that he went to the commission for 10 days and no one would say that he came out very clean. That for us shows that we are committed to transparency and accountability, and also he was able to accept and acknowledge places that he could improve on, and he was also able to go to the commission whenever he was needed, and that for us shows that we are indeed big supporters of transparency.
Did you see the kind of questions that came through for him as he, submitted himself on Facebook to be asked questions? Did you see the questions that came through for him?
Yeah, because they were mostly on the
So which was the toughest question he had to tackle, do you think?
There are a few. For me, I think one of it was that the question we keep the question that keeps popping up is, what are you going to do differently? And for me, I think that is very important. And for us,
so how did he answer?
No, he hasn't answered them yet.
Oh, okay.
But during the weekend he will answer them.
Oh, okay, okay. So he's invited questions. Questions are coming through. He hasn't sat down to answer them yet.
Yeah.
And he will answer them himself,
yes,
not you and the media team.
No.
Okay.
He will answer them himself. I mean, we want to create an informal relationship, because in Gambia there's always been a gap between the governors and the governed, and it's always difficult to connect. For example, if the president will sit on the media and say that a bag of rice costs 1,500, then there's a gap.
He actually said that?
I mean, he said that. We watched it on, during his conversations. So what we want to do is that we want to create an informal setting where the leaders of this country now do not have to, or the governed do not have to go through protocols, do not have to go through bureaucracy to meet or speak to their leaders. It has to be an open door policy, because when we are asking for votes...
You are just highlighting why we are yet to speak to the president, because, they subject you through all sorts of protocols that we don't have time to go through.
So for us, we want it to be an open door policy. Because when we need votes, we come to you and we ask for votes. So when we're in office, it doesn't have to be difficult to meet us.
Good point.
Yeah. So these are things that we also want to look into.
What are the UMC's top priorities for national development?
Because
us, as you say, politicians, they say the same thing.
Yes.
I mean, you're not saying anything that hasn't been said since
and
1965.
Exactly. Yeah. So for us, I think youth and women empowerment is paramount in...
Youth and women, you're leaving us the men out.
No. But I mean,
I do understand.
In every society, you have have minorities.
And the word is priorities. So you have to prioritize.
Yeah,
you can't do them all together at once.
Yeah. So, but youth and women are very important in our focus areas. We're prioritizing them because we believe that they are minority groups and they're the less privileged in this.
Minority women?
Yes, I mean,
they constitute
not in numbers.
50% of the population.
Yes, but not in numbers. For example, when you look at the economic viability of women in Gambia, you look at the educational, access to education, economic viability, you look at enterprising. These are all areas that women are minorities in, and the economy is controlled by men, for example. It's the same thing for young people also. In as much as Gambians are one of the most hardworking people, but because opportunities are still very scarce. For example, when we announced that we are giving funding to backway returnees at KMC, I was astonished with the number of young people who came up and registered, even though it's for a very small number. But now it has given us the zeal that we have to do more. We have to do more because over 7,000 young people came around to register and become part of that program, and we're just targeting less than 100 young people. So it shows that these two groups are minority groups, but we also want to look at agriculture, because a country that doesn't feed itself cannot compete globally. And today a lot of the reasons why Gambia is still lagging behind is because 80% of food consumed in the country is imported, and I don't see why we cannot ascribe to the Maputo Protocol of having at least 10% of our budget invested in agriculture. How Jahale and Pachar or the CRR as a whole hasn't been a breadbasket for the sub-region itself is still, a question that hasn't still been answered. We have had projects come in, but unfortunately, monitoring and evaluation has always been our weakest point. We do not monitor, we do not keep and sustain projects. We're also looking at infrastructure development, and this is across the board. We want to see that infrastructure develops in the country. Another part is also sovereign and food security. Like I mentioned, sovereign security also. Currently, we have seen a rise in crime where people get attacked in their households. So security is also a sector that we plan on focusing on.
That contrasts with what the police recently said, that crime was actually, going down.
I mean, data can say one thing, but the reality is another. I think we all live in this country and we know what's happening on a daily basis. It's like when you have the, IMF say, we are giving you a loan, and then government comes out to celebrate it. I say, yeah, they're giving you a loan because you're messing up. If you weren't messing up, you wouldn't need help. But a loan is help, or let's say grants are helps.
But even if we needed loans and took loans, they were not to be celebrated.
Exactly. It shows that there are shortcomings. So for me, I think these are things that we need to really look into. But more so also education, not just formal education, but even how do we formalize the informal sector, for example, and support young people. Because Gambia doesn't have mineral resource, or even if we do, it's very minimal.
But they talk about the black sand in
yes,
Sanya.
Yeah, but then it's very minimal, and it's all very controlled, unfortunately, and just a few people have access to it. You and I don't even know how much is made from it annually. The fishing sector has also been shiplined to foreign companies. But what we have and what we can control is the human resource. And if you invest in your human resource, there's a high tendency that you build a conscious and a viable population. And these are areas that we want to focus on.
Mm-hmm. Your leader is a local government leader. So what is the party stance on decentralization and empowering local governance?
I think we have been the biggest advocates for decentralization because we have seen how it has really discouraged the work we have done and how it has slowed down the work we have done. I see no reason why local government leaders need to adhere or ascribe to or be under the guidance of an appointed minister when they are the people that have the mandate. I see no reason why government cannot pay subventions to local government councils. I see no reason why councils cannot work on programs and projects that will impact the people directly. Local government is the first access or direct entry point of development to the people. And for us at UMC, this is what we continue to say, that development cannot be from top to bottom. It has to be from bottom top. Our experience in local government, I believe, have been one of the pushing points where we believe that the grassroots needs to have the say. The grassroots needs to be where current central decisions need to be taken. And for example, one of the ways we believe that this can also be done is that we can bring governance closer to the people by bringing district parliamentary sittings to the people. For example, how can the National Assembly, for example, come up with parliamentary sittings where, when you talk about KMC, for example, you have 7 constituencies in KMC. You bring, all the members of parliament in a town hall meeting where people come and discuss and talk to them. You do the same in all of these other regions and bring governance closer to the people, but also empower local governments, empower mayors, empower chairpersons. We had to go to court multiple times with government on basic things of governance. These are things I believe that shouldn't happen, but generally, again, a general overhaul of the constitution or the laws of the land is needed to reflect what the people want, in my opinion.
What is the biggest, or what are the biggest misconceptions about the UMC, and how do you intend to address them?
I think general conversation. For me, I think we currently do not have a lot of misconceptions. One of it is, like you asked me earlier, is the funding.
Oh, okay.
Where's the funding coming from? But also generally, the UMC is still in its infant stages, and based on the conversations we have had, one of the other things is that, okay, the betrayal of you have betrayed the UDP, for example, and we have said that we're in 2025, and it's time Gambians decide: is loyalty owed to the country? Is loyalty owed to a party, or is loyalty owed to individuals? And we have said that we believe that loyalty needs to be owed to the country. We listen to what the Gambian people said. We listen to the change that they have been yearning for, and who they have been pointing to. And we said, you know what is most important is we must come together and usher in a new country by building a platform which will become an umbrella body for every Gambian to see themselves as part of it. So, yeah.
You were with Talib in the UDP.
Yes.
So when you say you listened to what the country said, what did the country say about Talib, vis-a-vis Ousainou Darboe, that made you want to, go out with Talib when he decided it was time to leave the UDP?
No, so for me, like I mentioned, it's not about personalities, but it's more so about what the people are asking for, and that's changed.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
When did the people start asking for Talib, per se?
So even during 2021 elections, for example,
really?
people would say, Talib, I think you should run. And all of us, I know we have a winning candidate, we have a viable candidate. And I still believe that in 2021, for example, out of everyone that was on that ballot, I believe that Ousainou Darboe was the most viable and was the most competent candidate. And for me, that will never change, because
viability and competence, do not equal to
being
winnable.
Yes. So yes.
Was that? Were you convinced in 2021 that he was a winning candidate?
Oh yeah, because I believed in what was sold, and I was the architect. I was one of the architects of the product we were selling. Mm-hmm. So I did believe in it, and no matter what, in 2021, nothing would change my perception. I believe out of that list, he was supposed to be the person who could usher in the Gambia we wanted. Things have changed. There's nothing constant in life. The only thing constant is change. Perceptions change. What we held yesterday is not what we hold today. And today I believe that what the Gambian people are asking for is for Talib Bensouda to become president of this country, because they've seen his track record, because they've seen that he is able to deliver even with the most difficult challenges that he has faced in his municipality. He redefined and revalued what local governance is in this country, and people want to see him do that at the national level.
Are you disappointed that the people who once held him as the poster boy for transparency and accountability based on what he was able to do in KMC are now trying to, throw mud at him and all of that? Or
No.
do you take that to be, some of the things that come with the territory?
Exactly. I'm not disappointed. I'm not disappointed. I do understand.
What about him? You speak to him all the time.
Not really. I think we factored that in, and then we understood that it came with the territory. Mm-hmm. And we are not disappointed, but we understand their disappointment, because these are people who held us in high regard. I used to be a poster boy too, and today when you go through my comments on social media and from some of the people that it comes from, but I do understand some of them are still hurt, but that's just normal. But again, like I've said, change is the only thing constant in life. And the reason why we still hold the UDP in high regard is because we believe that a united front is what will usher in a new Gambia, and nothing will make us ever disrespect the UDP. Nothing will make us ever say anything negative about the party leader or the institution that made us who we are. Because, like it or not, the UDP did play a part in our evolution and our development as young politicians. But also, I believe that it was based on our capabilities that the UDP pointed us out and said, we believe that you can do it. So we want to expand those capabilities. We want to bring in more people under our umbrella, and even the UDP is part of the people that we plan to work with. So whilst it would hurt that people that once upon a time said very beautiful things about us are today saying negative things, we do understand that it comes with the territory.
So you tend to subscribe to the belief that only a united opposition can remove the Barrow administration from office.
Absolutely. And even if it's not just
the prospect of working with UDP
it's very high.
Is a possibility
it's
for
very
UMC.
high. It's very high. And we are not robbing anyone off, and we are willing to work with anybody. Even if it's a party with 100 people, we believe that you are part of this change. And like we have said, we are an umbrella that believes that a united government, a united Gambia is possible. And it's not just about winning elections, but we want to just change the way politics is done in the country. And for example, this is why I have been on a tour since on Monday to visit media houses, because media houses and political parties in the country have always been at loggerheads, or politicians. And what we are doing at UMC is we are changing that narrative. We are showing journalists that we can be partners in development, and we should be partners in development. We shouldn't see each other as enemies. We shouldn't see each other as people trying to, ruin each other. But we are people that we need journalists, and journalists need us. We need them to educate and inform the people. This is why I am here. And we have been on a tour, and we have been crisscrossing the country and meeting, and we will go all the way to upcountry, meet media houses, and share our message with them.
What challenges has the movement faced since its launch, apart from maybe the financing bit?
I think it's just understanding, and because everything new, especially in a country that is not used to change, it becomes difficult. But personally, I think I am very grateful for the supportive family that I have personally, and they have been very supportive. In fact, my hometown in Bakau, the calls and numbers and people that have visited me since I took my decision. In the beginning, a lot of them were not happy about it, but with time, they understood that this was a necessity, and it was not a personal necessity, but it's a necessity for the country. And they have really owned up to it, and they have taken it, and ascribed to it. And it's the same thing. The movement is going to face issues like that, but we are finding ways of channeling that energy into getting more people. Yesterday, I got a call from Lower Badibu from one of my cousins, because my mom is from Kerewan, and he said, when I heard that you left the UDP, I was very, sad and disappointed. But I think after, talking to Karafa Sonko, who's one of our team leaders in the North Bank, he said, I think I'll want to join the movement. If you have forms, kindly send them over. So things like that are things that I am very grateful for. And I think generally Gambians have been very receptive of our message. So challenges haven't really started popping up yet, but with time they will. And but challenges only make you stronger. When you're able to maneuver through challenges, you definitely come out better.
People are convinced that Talib actually started working on an alternative to UDP long before the issue of this flag bearer contest came up. I mean, you work very closely with him.
Yeah.
You would know if
exactly.
He had done this. So what can you tell us about this?
If we have been working on it long before, I think we wouldn't have even had a problem of names, of people understanding the name, if it was United Movement for Change or United Movement for Change, because everything would have been very refined. We would have had a constitution, a statute. We would have had everything in place. But this happened so fast and rapidly. And like I mentioned, in the space of two to 3 weeks, we came up with this idea because of the longing and the call that the people have been asking for. So to say that he has been working on this ever since he was in the UDP is a misconception. And it's something that I don't know, but I believe it's just by conspiracy theorists who want to, like Henry Gomez will say, hegemal di chere. So, but I can tell you that this is a new movement. It was founded by us based on the circumstances we found ourselves in our parent party, and we thought to ourselves that it is necessary for us to move on.
And what triggered those circumstances that you vaguely refer to? I mean, people would say those circumstances are the fact that Talib wanted to lead the UDP, and Alhaji Ousainou wasn't ready yet to cede leadership to him. So you decided to, break away, start your own party. Was Talib ever promised succession to Alhaji Ousainou Darboe?
I cannot comment on that.
For 2026 per se.
Yes, I cannot comment on that because both men are honorable and dignified men, and I believe any conversation they have will remain between them. And nobody can tell you that either Talib or Alhaji Ousainou had come out and told me that I've said this and that and that and that. So a lot of people tend to say that they feel, based on the actions that they saw, that Alhaji Ousainou had or was gearing Talib up to become the flag bearer, because he was always with him. He would send him on adversary roles. He would get him to go deputize for him at meetings or other things. But also we forget that Talib was also the organizing secretary of the party. And for example, our Lord Mayor in Banjul had said in one of our media engagements that man dumade blame Talib anymore. Man pabiladi blame paksi so kolete munelane man mako yoni. So things like that were perceptions that people held, and that's by the way. But I cannot sit here and say yes, indeed a promise was made or not, because I do believe that these two men are honorable and dignified men, and any conversation that was held amongst them would stay amongst them. Yeah.
How did you and Talib meet? Because obviously he's placed a lot of trust in you.
Yes, so we met, so we are both from Bakau. I come from Sati Bakona. He comes from Sanchaba. And we met through the council and the party. So he became candidate. So I didn't support Talib initially in the UDP.
You didn't?
I was with Papanjai.
Okay.
Yes, during the primaries. But when Papanjai left, I supported Talib because he was my number 2 choice. In fact, I met him before the primary and we discussed, because I'm a youth leader in Bakau and I have a lot of young people that I work with and follow me. So we met. I told him, well, I have already given my word to Papanjai, but if the party chooses you as a flag bearer, I would support as the candidate. I would support you.
This is for the
mayoral.
Mayoral election.
Yeah. So when Papanjai resigned from the process, I said, oh well. So he called me again and said, now Papanjai has resigned. I told him, yeah. So I'll support you. So during that campaign, we campaigned for him, and when it was time to nominate a youth representative, I also applied. I went through a process, an interview panel, and I came out on top, and I was nominated.
So it wasn't like you were handpicked
no, I wasn't handpicked.
The position you hold.
6 of us applied, and 3 were shortlisted, and I became the chosen one because I had a higher grade. So from there, we began working. We came up with the 20 million youth fund. We came up with the kept youth parks and all the other projects for young people. The tuk-tuk and tricycles, the expansion of the markets, the building of the community centers. So we built a very strong bond. It became sort of a brotherhood, and we would visit each other. And so it's not just being colleagues anymore, but we're now a family. And I believe in his leadership because he has convinced me that indeed he can bring effective change, and this is why I believe that he can offer the Gambian people what they want.
I keep looking at the clock on my laptop. Any upcoming events, rallies, initiatives that you'd like to highlight on behalf of the UMC?
Currently, we are working on a few. We are working on one in Jaba, and we're working on another one in Fonyi. And we are going to continue our Dinkulios. That is something we had been doing even when we were in the UDP. We have 3 other regions coming up. So we haven't come up with a tentative date yet for most of these events, but indeed we are working on having outreach programs. But we want to change the way politics is done in the country. It cannot continue to be business as usual. We want it to be policy-based. We want it to be issue-driven. We want to cut down on rallies and focus on house-to-house campaigns, meet people, sell an agenda, sell a product, make sure that people are convinced and they buy the product and become part of the product. Because, like I mentioned, reducing the gap between the governors and the governed is very important for the UMC, and making sure that people see themselves as part of the process for us is what is most paramount, and usher in a Gambia that we all want.
And what other message would you like to leave with Gambians watching and listening today?
To tell them that the UMC is the platform that the Gambia needs. The UMC is what the country has been yearning for, an issue-based, a political ideology that is based on seeing Gambia as a united country under, a united umbrella. That we believe that the old ways of politics need to change, where politics has to be based on what the people need and what the people want, and it has to be based on issues. And we are open to working with anyone, be it a civil society group, be it a political party, or whoever it may be, urging our supporters also to focus on issues and reduce the discussions about personalities and not be drawn into any conversation that adds no meaningful value to the Gambian people. And for us at USC, this is at UMC.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that a new party?
No, UMC. These are our focuses, and hopefully the Gambian people ascribe to our message. And we will come to their doors, we will come to their homes, we will come to their villages soon, and they should be expecting us.
Kemo, thank you very much for your time this morning.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Kemo Bojang, spokesman of the UMC, bringing us to the end of today's program.
Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Axel jam si Wave.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do dede. Luta mo nulo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello?
Bisul mu fine.
What?
Bisul mu fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave Axel Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. At Wave. Bisul mu fine. Wave. Your money is yours.